Why nice guys communicate indirectly. Welcome back to Various Views. I'm Mia Maya, and if this is your first time here, I'm glad you found your way in. Make yourself comfortable. This is a space where we talk about the things most people are too polite, too afraid, or too distracted to say out loud. Before we get into today's episode, if something I say tonight makes you pause, makes you reconsider, makes you feel just a little bit seen, hit that thumbs up. You'd be surprised how much that one small gesture does. It tells the algorithm that this kind of conversation matters. It brings more of this to more people who need it. And if you're not subscribed yet, do that now. Because what I'm about to tell you, you'll want to hear the next part. Now, let's talk about nice guys. Not the men who are genuinely kind. I love a genuinely kind man. Kindness is a form of strength that most people underestimate. I'm talking about something specific, a particular pattern, a way of moving through the world that looks like generosity on the outside, but on the inside, it's something else entirely. I want to be precise with you tonight because I think most conversations about this topic get it wrong. They either mock the nice guy or they defend him. What they rarely do is actually explain him. That's what we're doing tonight. Let me ask you something. Have you ever given someone they didn't ask for and then felt quietly angry when they didn't appreciate it the way you expected? Maybe you made time for someone. Maybe you listened for hours. Maybe you showed up, helped them move, drove them to the airport at 6 in the morning, paid for dinner, over and over, and they were grateful. They said thank you, they called you a good friend, but they didn't want you the way you wanted them. And somewhere inside, deep inside, where you don't really let yourself look, there was a flicker of resentment. Because you didn't give for free. You were making a deposit into a bank account you never told anyone about, into a ledger that existed only in your own mind, and you expected at some point to collect. That's not kindness. That's commerce with the price tag hidden. Now, I'm not saying you're a bad person for feeling that. I'm saying you were taught something incorrect about how desire and connection actually work. You were taught, maybe by watching, maybe by being punished for directness as a boy, maybe by a culture that told you that women want to be pursued slowly and gently and indirectly. You were taught that if you provide enough, if you wait long enough, if you're patient enough, the door will open. But here's what no one told you. She can feel the door. She can feel the waiting on the other side of every interaction. She can feel the weight of unspoken expectation. It doesn't feel like patience to her. It feels like pressure in a wrapper. It feels like a man who is asking something of her that he refuses to name. And that refusal to name it, is the problem. I want to introduce you to a concept. I'm going to call it the hidden contract. The hidden contract is an agreement that only one person knows exists. It sounds like this in your own head. If I am good enough to her for long enough, she will eventually see me differently. If I support her, if I never pressure her, if I prove I'm not like other guys, she will choose me. If I put in enough, eventually I get out what I'm really here for. These are contracts. They have terms. They have expectations. They have a concept of fairness built right into them. The problem is, she never signed. She didn't sign because she never saw the contract. You never showed it to her. You showed her the friendship. You showed her the availability. You showed her the warmth. But you kept the terms folded in your back pocket. And when the contract goes unmet, because how can she meet terms she never agreed to, something curdles inside you. You don't feel betrayed by your own unexpressed hope. You feel betrayed by her. She put you in the friend zone. She uses nice guys. She doesn't know what she wants. But let me offer you a different frame. She responded to what you actually showed her, not to what you secretly needed her to see. She took you at your word. You said friendship. She heard friendship. You meant something else entirely, and you never corrected her. That's not her failure to perceive. That's a communication problem. So why does this happen? Why does a man wrap his desire in layers of helpfulness and availability and carefully calibrated niceness instead of just saying what he wants? Fear. Not the fear of rejection exactly, though that's part of it. The deeper fear is this. If I show you what I actually want and you say no, I lose the story I've been telling myself. As long as you never say it out loud, you can maintain a certain kind of hope. It's a fragile hope, the kind that lives in ambiguity. As long as nothing is spoken, nothing is closed. The possibility stays open. You can keep going, keep giving, keep building, all inside a protected fantasy where the ending hasn't been written yet. The moment you speak it, the moment you make it real, it can be refused. And so the indirect approach isn't really a communication style, it's a protection strategy. It's a way of staying in the game without putting any skin on the table. And here's the painful part, the part that I want you to really sit with. It doesn't work. Not just because she sees through it, though often she does. It doesn't work because it robs you of the one thing that could actually give you what you want. A real answer. You cannot build anything real on a foundation made of things you were too afraid to say. The intimacy you're trying to create through indirectness is exactly the intimacy that indirectness prevents. Real closeness requires real exposure. You cannot let someone in while keeping the door closed. Now, let's talk about the friendship mask, because this is where it gets interesting. There is a version of this pattern that is particularly sophisticated. It's the man who genuinely believes he is just being a good friend. He has convinced himself, completely sincerely, that he has no ulterior motive. He's just kind. He just cares. He just shows up. And then one day she starts dating someone else, and he's devastated. And he doesn't understand why. He'll say things like, "I've been here the whole time. I've always been here. I've done everything right." He's confused, and that confusion is real. He's not performing the confusion for effect. But here's what happened. He put on the friendship mask so long, he forgot he was wearing it. The mask became the face. He never allowed himself to consciously acknowledge his own desire because consciously acknowledging it would mean having to choose, pursue it honestly, or let it go. And that choice felt unbearable, so instead, he did neither. He stayed. He served. He waited. He let the ambiguity do the work he wasn't willing to do himself. When she chose someone else, someone who had the audacity to actually say what he wanted, it felt like a betrayal. But she didn't betray him. She just responded to what was actually communicated. The other man said, "I want you." The nice guy said, "I'm here for you as a friend whenever you need me, no pressure, no expectations." She believed both of them. I want to talk about the resentment now, because this is the thing that reveals everything. Nice guys are often very, very angry people. They hide it well. They've been hiding it their whole lives, but it's there. It lives in the comments they make when she gets into a relationship with someone who doesn't deserve her. It lives in the subtle shade they throw at men who are more direct, more confident, more willing to say what they want. It lives in the bitterness that sounds like wisdom. All women want bad boys. Nice guys finish last. I don't know why I bother. That bitterness is not a conclusion about women. It's a wound from a contract that was never fulfilled. And the reason the contract was never fulfilled is not because the world is unfair or because women prefer unkind men. The reason the contract was never fulfilled is because it was never disclosed. You cannot collect on terms you never stated. And the resentment is actually a very important signal, if you'll listen to it properly. It is your own system telling you there is something here that you have not said. There is a need here that you have not named. There is a truth here that you have been swallowing, bite by careful bite, until it started to taste like someone else's fault. The resentment is not proof that she wronged you. The resentment is proof that you wronged yourself by deciding that your desire was too dangerous to speak. I know what some of you are thinking. Okay, Mia, fine, but I tried being direct once and it didn't go well. I believe you. And I want to distinguish between two kinds of directness, because they are not the same thing. There is the directness that comes from a place of desperation. The man who, after months of indirection, finally cracks and confesses everything in a flood of feeling that sounds more like an ultimatum than an offering. That kind of directness often lands badly. Not because directness itself is wrong, but because it was too compressed, too long held, too full of the weight of everything that wasn't said before it. That's not directness. That's a pipe that finally burst. Real directness is something you do early and lightly. It doesn't need to be a declaration. It doesn't need to be a speech. It can be something as simple as, I like spending time with you. I'd like to take you on an actual date, if you're open to it. That's it. That's the sentence that changes everything. It's not aggressive. It's not desperate. It doesn't come with an invoice attached. It is simply a man stating what he would like, clearly, calmly, while leaving room for her to answer honestly. Maybe she says yes, and something real begins. Maybe she says no, and at least you know. You can stop waiting in a lobby that was never going to let you in. You can redirect that time, that energy, that care towards something that has a real future. Either outcome is better than years of a hidden contract. Either outcome respects you. Now, I want to go a layer deeper because I think you deserve the full picture. There's something that women often sense in indirect men, and I want to name it precisely. It's not that indirectness is unattractive because it's weak. That's too simple. The reason indirectness creates distance is that it communicates something specific. It communicates that a man does not trust her enough to be honest with her.
Think about what you're doing when you hide your desire. You're deciding on her behalf that she can't handle the truth, that she can't be trusted with your real feelings, that the only way to stay close to her is to never let her see all of you. That's not respect. And she feels it. She may not be able to name it, but she feels a certain flatness in the dynamic. She feels like she's receiving a curated version of you. She may enjoy your company. She may genuinely care about you, but she will not feel drawn to you because you're not letting her get close enough to be drawn. Attraction, at its core, requires some vulnerability. It requires someone actually showing up. The man who says what he wants, even knowing it might cost him something, is the man who is willing to be real in her presence. That realness is magnetic, not because women love audacity for its own sake, but because realness creates an environment where she can also be real. And that kind of environment is rare, and rare things are valued. So what does breaking this pattern actually look like practically? First, notice the contract. The next time you find yourself doing something generous for someone you're attracted to, stop for just a moment and ask yourself, do I have an expectation